For many people, the name Quincy Jones is synonymous with music hard hitters. He was a legend in the industry, but if people knew the wild details of his rise to fame, they might not look at him the same. In his final interview, Quincy Jones said a lot of controversial things about a lot of beloved celebrities. But it was his jaw-dropping revelation about Marlon Brando that left everyone furious. Born in the south side of Chicago in the early 1930s, Quincy Jones didn't have the easiest childhood. In his youth, he witnessed his mom suffer from schizophrenia and end up in a psychiatric institution. His father remarried and the family moved to Washington State. It gave him a fresh start, but still didn't protect him from a harrowing tragedy. While headed to a rodeo with several of his friends at 14 years old, Jones experienced a tragic accident that changed him forever. A bus collided with the vehicle, and he emerged as the only survivor. He never really got over it, and ultimately never could bring himself to learn to drive. Luckily for him, an artistic outlet soon gave him a fresh way forward. Jones really started developing his music skills in high school. He played the trumpet and started building up his knowledge of musical arrangement. And even in those early years, people started taking notice of his extraordinary talent. That included one of his music idols, Ray Charles. Though meeting him didn't quite go like Jones thought it might. Although Ray Charles boasted critical acclaim for his musical prowess at the time, he also struggled with a serious substance addiction. When he met Jones, who was only 15 years old at the time, Charles offered him some of his stash. Jones tried it out, and kept trying it out. Thankfully, he ditched it after a few months, just in time for a life-changing meet-cute. While attending Garfield High School in the late 1940s, Jones caught the eye of one of his classmates, Jerry Caldwell. According to her, she basically fell in love at first sight. She pursued him, and the two began a romantic relationship. But the course of love never did run smooth, and the case of Jones and his new white girlfriend were no exception. They began their relationship well before the United States Civil Rights era of the 1960s, which may help explain Caldwell's parents' initial reaction to Jones. They didn't want their daughter dating a black man. Luckily, they came around after they actually met him. In 1953, Caldwell birthed Jones' first child. Considering the tension around equality and conservative American values that prevailed, his in-laws probably didn't feel too excited about their grandchild born out of wedlock. But Jones had bigger fish to fry, and he didn't mind leaving his new family behind to do it. Jones actually missed the birth of his firstborn, which added even more tension to the already strained relationship with Caldwell. Instead of staying home with his pregnant wife, he went on a tour with a jazz band musician in Europe. And though he didn't earn any brownie points at home, it turned out to be just the right move for his career. The mid to late 1950s saw Jones' status as a musician slowly start to rise. He continued to play trumpet, but began to get more recognition as a music director. He even found work with big names like Elvis Presley and Dizzy Gillespie. Interestingly enough, it seems like the boost in his career inspired him to make progress back at home too. In 1957, Jones and Caldwell married, but that didn't necessarily improve things. By his own admission, he fancied himself a bit of a ladies' man, and didn't remain faithful to Caldwell before or after their marriage. And unfortunately for him, married life didn't prove to be the only thing he failed at. With his newfound recognition, Jones attempted to get his own jazz band together, dubbing them the Jones Boys. He took the band on tour at home and in Europe. Audiences loved them, and critics gave great reviews, but they failed to recoup their money and soon disbanded. Luckily, an even better opportunity soon snuck right up on him. As the 1950s came to a close, Jones crossed paths with superstar crooner Frank Sinatra. Though it took a few years for them to actually work together, Jones' work on Sinatra's second album put him into an entirely new realm of success, though Sinatra did something for him that no one else would. The civil rights movement picked up steam in the 1960s, but even with the race relations starting to prove change in the US, the music business proved a difficult space to break through as a black musician. By Jones's own account, Sinatra made the difference for him, getting him into all the right rooms, and once he got in, he became unstoppable. In 1961, Jones became the very first black American president of Mercury Records. With the backing of celebrities like Sinatra and years of experience and acclaim under his belt, he wielded the opportunity into a life-changing era, and even more star-studded opportunities soon came knocking. Jones first worked as a film composer on the 1964 film The Pawnbroker. After that, though he became seemingly unstoppable in the role, going on to compose music for successful films, including In Cold Blood and In the Heat of the Night. By all accounts, he'd solidified his position as a music great, but back at home, things looked a lot more bleak. In 1963, Jones welcomed his second baby girl, but not with his actual wife. Instead, with a dancer named Carol Reynolds. Because of all this, Caldwell and Jones finally divorced in 1966, after almost a decade of marriage. Many years later, Jones acknowledged how great a woman she'd been to him, even while he never truly remained faithful to her. In that very same year, Jones had a baby with a Swedish model, Ulla Andersson. Jones met Andersson in early 1966, and once the court finalized his divorce, he married her the very next year. Even with the drama of his romantic life, his existence seemed somehow charmed. In 1969, Jones narrowly missed losing his life in one of the most horrific crimes in US history. According to him, he basically forgot to attend the party at Sharon Tate's home on the night Charles Manson's cult ended the lives of everyone there. While he didn't realize his luck until after, it seemed everything he touched turned to gold for a while.
For exclusive perks like early access to new videos, priority replies to your comments, and to have your say on future content, consider becoming a Factinate member. On top of that, your support helps keep the channel going. Click the link in the description for more details.
Jones first worked with pop icon Michael Jackson in the 1970s while composing for The Wiz. Impressed with Jones's music production, the pop star asked him to recommend someone to work on his next album. Jones started off recommending other producers, but ultimately landed on himself. The album Off the Wall emerged as the fruit of Jackson and Jones's collaboration. It became a huge music success, with about 20 million records sold. Though already very successful, that album and their follow-up, Thriller, made Jones himself an icon in the music industry. And with that, it seems he decided he could get away with anything. In the same interview where Jones admitted to being unfaithful to his first wife, he claimed he never stepped out on his second wife, Andersson. They did not go on to have a second child, and seemed to have several happy years together. But in 1974, the two officially divorced. It seems Jones either had an insatiable appetite for romance, or he just couldn't deal with being alone. He married his third wife one day after his second marriage officially ended. His new wife was Peggy Lipton. Lipton's account of meeting Jones for the first time sounds very oddly like the one of his first wife. She knew about his then wife Andersson, but still said she immediately felt pulled to him and that he might be her husband. The same year he remarried for the third time, Jones experienced a frightening brush with death when he experienced a brain aneurysm. Now in his early 40s, he took the ailment as a sign that he needed to focus more on spending time with his family. This did well for Lipton as they began their marriage, but unfortunately, things got much worse before they got better. As Jones's health continued to deteriorate, doctors decided to perform multiple brain surgeries on him. His family rallied around him, but feared that treatment might not actually save him. As such, they planned a memorial service he could attend, which he did with a doctor at his side. Surprisingly, he actually did recover, though not without one final scare. After his surgeries, doctors told Jones to put down his trumpet permanently, as that could interfere with the metal plate in his brain. He went on tour abroad instead, but after a major post-performance headache got to him, he put his beloved instrument down for good. That didn't mean he was done though, with his career or the shenanigans in his private life. By the 1980s, Jones found himself revived and ready to add a new role to his extensive resume: film producer. And as you should probably expect by now, he succeeded there as well. His debut film, The Color Purple, garnered several Oscar nominations, including one for his music scoring. But he didn't just make the movie, he made certified superstars. Through casting them for leading roles in The Color Purple, many people credit Jones with launching the careers of now household names in Hollywood, Oprah Winfrey and Whoopi Goldberg. The film truly changed the trajectory of their careers, but in an unexpected twist of fate, the film also threatened Jones's health. In a very rare moment of weakness, Jones later admitted to struggling with his mental health after completing production on his first film as a producer. According to him, he just took on too much, and nearly crumbled under the stress of bringing the final product to audiences. He persevered, though, somehow still moving from achievement to achievement. In a move that still stands as one of the greatest moments in American music, Jones produced a star-studded record for charity. The result? A song titled "We Are the World," featuring huge names like Michael Jackson and Cyndi Lauper. This song remains an anthem of hope, with film, music, and even charitable giving conquered. Jones seemed to turn to one final frontier. Jones made his way into television after a significant merger with Time Warner in 1990, which opened the door to a new phase in his already illustrious career. The collaboration was a game changer, allowing him to expand his influence beyond music and delve into the world of television production. Among the many successful projects that emerged from this deal, one of the most recognizable in impact was the creation of the wildly popular television show, The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Premiering in September 1990, The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air quickly became a cultural phenomenon, blending humor with heartfelt storytelling. The show starred a young Will Smith, who was transitioning from his career as a rapper into acting. Smith played a fictionalized version of himself, a street-smart teenager from West Philadelphia sent to live with his wealthy relatives in an affluent neighborhood of Bel-Air. Jones served as an executive producer on the show, and his vision was instrumental in its success. Recognizing Smith's charisma and potential, Jones took a chance on casting the relatively inexperienced performer in the lead role. It was a gamble that paid off tremendously, not only launching Smith into superstardom, but also cementing the show as a beloved classic. The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air ran for 6 seasons and became a defining piece of 90s pop culture, remembered for its witty dialogue, iconic theme song, and unforgettable moments that range from laugh-out-loud comedy to deeply emotional scenes. After over a decade of marriage and 2 children together, Jones and his third wife divorced in 1989. The details surrounding his divorce are few, and he claimed he didn't cheat on her either. Jones went on to have a very active love life, including relationships with his publicist, a former Playboy bunny, and a certain Trump daughter. He also developed quite the reputation for dating women a lot younger than him, and he bore no shame about it at all. In fact, in one interview later in life, he shared some pretty shocking numbers about his love life. During an interview in his 80s, Jones claimed to be dating over 20 women at the very same time. Even more, he claimed his girlfriends lived all over the world. One notable rapper did have very strong opinions that seemed to dictate a pretty questionable preference. In 1993, Quincy Jones faced public criticism from rapper Tupac Shakur, who called out the predominantly white ethnicity of Jones's romantic partners. Tupac's remarks sparked controversy, touching an issue of race, identity, and relationships within the black community. Both Jones and his daughter Rashida Jones responded with anger. Rashida, who is biracial, even wrote Tupac a pointed letter, defending her father and challenging his views. Surprisingly, the tension between Tupac and Jones didn't last. However, the incident reignited discussions about Jones's dating preference. Despite the controversy, Jones's social status remained unshaken. By then, his groundbreaking career had cemented him as a cultural icon whose influence transcended race and generations. In 2018, a then 84-year-old Jones sat down for an interview with Vulture. There's no telling what exactly the interviewer expected when he sat down with a music mogul, but what he ended up with was a slate of totally shocking claims. While talking about his political affiliations, Jones claimed to know exactly who took the life of President John F. Kennedy. According to him, a Chicago mafia head organized the incident in ties with some type of plan to affect the 1960 election. Jones diverted the conversation pretty quickly from there. The most surprising thing he said in the interview turned out to be his comments on the romantic preferences of some well-known stars. He claimed classic American actor Marlon Brando got down with just about anybody, and according to him, anybody included both Marvin Gaye and James Baldwin. As you can imagine, the interview didn't go over well. After the interview went live, Jones's daughter apprehended him to discuss his comments. As a result, he posted an official apology on Twitter shortly after. Very notably though, he didn't actually say that anything he said in the interview wasn't true. Luckily for him though, he recovered well, and perhaps with good reason. On November 3rd, 2024, the news came as a shock. Quincy Jones had passed at home. Even though he was in his early 90s, it seemed his fans still didn't see it coming, with many taking to social media to celebrate his life and mourn the loss. After Quincy Jones's passing, tributes poured in from celebrities and industry professionals, honoring his profound impact on their lives and the entertainment world. Across social media, musicians, actors, and fans shared stories of Jones's generosity, wisdom, and unparalleled ability to inspire greatness. While Jones may be gone, his spirit and legacy will continue to shape the world of entertainment for generations to come. If you enjoyed this Factinate video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more incredible stories. Want to say who we cover next? Join our membership program through the link in the description for exclusive perks. Your support means everything to us. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.